and gentlemen, welcome back to AS Astrology. Now today's topic will be about Rahu Mahadasha. I know this Mahadasha is the most misconcluded one, but there are some facts about it. Of course, Rahu Mahadasha brings in challenges, but this is the Mahadasha that can make you, multi-millionaire or very successful in whichever career you are. So Rahu Mahadasha basically comes for 18 years. So first and foremost thing we have to see with Rahu and Ketu Mahadasha as well, that these planets are basically shadow planets and these are nodes of the moon. So these planets actually behave like the sign they are placed in. For example, if Rahu is placed in the sign of Aries, in its Mahadasha, you will see effects of more like Mars. And if it is, suppose Rahu is in the sign of Sagittarius, you are going to see the results of Jupiter. So that's how Rahu and Ketu work during their Mahadasha. They always wear the jacket of the planet in whose zodiac sign they are. Okay, so another thing, of course, we need to see that which houses this particular Rahu is activating in your particular horoscope. Because you see, it is not necessary that for everyone Rahu is going to behave like one certain planet, or Rahu is not going to give one defined results for everyone. For that, you need to see first of all in which house Rahu is placed and in which sign Rahu is placed. So you will observe the results of that sign ruler, the dispositor of Rahu, and Rahu as well in those 18 years. And the other thing you need to see is in which nakshatra Rahu is present and the placement and house rulerships of that nakshatra lord. Now, for example, if you have Rahu in the sign of Capricorn and in the nakshatra of Shravana, now how will you predict the results of this Rahu? First of all, you need to see where Rahu is placed. For example, you are Cancer ascendant, so it means Rahu is placed in the 7th house, in the sign of Capricorn. Now you need to see that where the dispositor is placed, means where Saturn is placed. For example, that Saturn is exalted in the 4th house in Libra, and Moon is placed in the 9th house in the sign of Pisces. Now you will see that you will get result of 1st, 4th, 7th, 8th and 12th house. And 9th house. Now this Rahu is a strong Rahu because it is going to behave like Saturn, and Saturn is exalted in the 4th house. So this is how you will predict the results of Rahu. So now this Rahu will make you very emotional, will actually give you a lot of constant thoughts. Your mind will always be flooded with a lot of thinking, overthinking and a lot of ideas. Now this Rahu is going to activate your 1st, 7th and 9th house as well, and it is going to give the results of these houses as well. In this period, a person can start up a business which is related to his own personality and his own creativity, and can even go to long distance. So this is the mundane way of how we look for Rahu Mahadasha's results. Okay, so now we will discuss about what Rahu is going to bring as its results on a mundane level. Now what is Rahu? Rahu is a planet of illusions. Rahu is Maya Karka, Rahu is Bhoga Karka. For all, in my consultations, I have heard a lot of times that the people are told by a few priests or anybody like that, oh, your Rahu Mahadasha is going on, things won't work out for you, you have to wait until your Rahu is gone. Just imagine, it is 18 years of period. How can you wait for 18 long years, and how can it happen that for 18 long years nothing is going to work out? It is actually not like that. And I have even seen some people say that even in Rahu Antar Dasha, Pratyantar Dasha, wait for that Dasha, don't do anything in that Dasha, and then just let it pass and then do something. Actually, this is not true. Rahu is the most important and prominent planet in this age. Because you see, everything is related to Rahu nowadays. This mobile phone, this laptop, all the technologies, this internet from which I am communicating with you guys, all of this is actually Rahu. And all of this is made through Rahu. If a person didn't had prominent Rahu placements, a person maybe Facebook was not invented, maybe mobile phones were not invented, maybe lights were not invented. So we need Rahu basically. And of course, Rahu is the Bhoga Karka. I have also seen people getting married in Rahu Mahadasha. As soon as Rahu Mahadasha gets activated, a person gets married. For that you must have Rahu in the 7th house, or somehow it is to be related with the 7th house. Even I have seen with Rahu transiting over your 7th house, I have seen people getting married during that period also. So there's nothing like that Rahu is going to deny you the things. Basically, Rahu will bring a lot of challenges just in order to give you those things. And mostly Rahu and Ketu's axis and placements, and even when you have to analyze the dasha of Rahu and Ketu, do look it from the moon chart. Because you see, Rahu and Ketu are nodals of moon. They will give you results very prominently from where they are placed from moon. So that becomes an important thing to see. The other thing you will see is Rahu basically confuses a person. Whenever Rahu Mahadasha starts in Rahu Pratyantar and Rahu Antar Dasha, I have seen people being confused and deviated from their path big time. But by the time Rahu is going to go and Rahu Jupiter is going to come, I have seen people getting that vision of what they are going to do ahead. So it does brings a lot of confusion. This Mahadasha, it does brings indecisiveness. Somehow you'll see whenever Rahu Mahadasha is there, a person becomes quite indecisive. It becomes very difficult for that person to take one decision. The person will always be confused that, okay, one thing, they'll decide on one thing that I am going to follow this path, but then they'll be deviated. You know, that Maya effect of Rahu comes in. And Rahu makes you think, no, that path is also good. Let's go towards that. So that is why the chaos and dilemma comes over there. The other thing you'll observe is whenever in Rahu Mahadasha, a person will wake up lethargic or wake up sleepy. You'll always feel somehow tired because a lot of energy is consumed by the mind in Rahu Mahadasha. First thing I mentioned is that Rahu makes you think a lot, makes your mind go into deep thinking and into overthinking. So that actually exerts a lot of energy of a person, and so as a result a person becomes quite lethargic. The other thing you will see is Rahu is a very clever planet. So a person naturally becomes very clever in this Mahadasha. You know, Rahu is that mirage. It appears to be something, but there is something else. You may see something which is not actually there. So a person gets that ability of marketing, that gets that ability of convincing other people, showing them what they want to see and not what is actually present there. The other thing you'll see is that Rahu is actually considered to be the king of manipulation, the king of lies. But to be honest, with my research, I have seen one thing, that Rahu does causes cheating whenever it is transiting over certain houses, or it is present with certain planets, or in certain signs. But actually, if we talk about numerology, also according to numerology and also with my experience, wherever I see Rahu sitting alone in some house, I have actually seen such people to be quite individualistic and quite cutthroat and blunt. These people may say things that no one else would. They are so brutally honest people. This is actually my research, and obviously in numerology, if you guys are aware of that, number 4 represents for a person who is very outspoken. That person will say anything just on face. Quite outspoken and quite blunt and quite honest. And you'll see Rahu is not a person who likes to adjust with anyone. So that is why Rahu Mahadasha only goes well if it is not associated with any planet. Rahu's placement, Rahu and Ketu should always be sitting alone to give positive results, to give more of its significance. Because if you see Rahu and Ketu being shadow planets, they are highly manipulated by other planets as well. So if they will be sitting with other planets, they are going to behave like those planets and they are going to lose their self-significance. Okay. Now the other thing you'll see is that in Rahu Mahadasha, everything happens all of a sudden. Rahu is a planet of suddenness. It is the planet of sudden events. So everything happens all at once in Rahu's Mahadasha. And nothing goes pre-planned. I have seen people saying in Rahu Mahadasha that they have planned this, they have planned that, but nothing goes according to the plan in that Mahadasha. The other thing you'll see is that in Rahu Mahadasha, somehow a person is very fond of speculation. Somehow in these 18 years, a person will eventually be involved in speculation or earning through easy sources or quick sources. Because Rahu here wants everything all at once. Rahu is just the head. Rahu is the hungry planet. Wherever it sits, it just wants all of it. For example, if Rahu is in the 10th house, it wants all the fame and all the authority in the workspace, in their career. And if Rahu is in the 7th house, again it is a position for mass fame and it wants everything. It wants to deal with a lot of people, mass population of people. It loves engaging with other people. Because Rahu makes a person to think out of the box. Because Rahu is someone foreign. Rahu is someone unorthodox. Rahu doesn't want to follow the orthodox norms of the society, of anything actually. Or Rahu doesn't want to follow the normal pattern. It wants to do something out of the box, something which is unexpected. And one thing you'll see which may surprise you guys is that Rahu actually behaves a lot like Saturn. Saturn is a rebel and Rahu is a rebel as well. Saturn wants to serve and Rahu also wants to serve, but it has its own challenges over there. But Rahu actually wants all the power. Rahu wants to serve, but with that throne, with that power. That's why we always see that Rahu placements, good Rahu placements, specifically Rahu in the 10th house, makes a person a politician or go into politics. The other thing you'll observe is that Rahu can also cause traveling. It can take you away from your homeland if Rahu is placed in the 3rd house, in the 4th house, in the 7th house in a few cases, in the 9th house, in the 8th house and in the 12th house. If Rahu is placed in these houses, it will make you go away from your homeland, probably to the foreign lands. And if it is somehow involved with your 10th house, 12th house and 9th house, you can also be involved in dealing with foreign people, even in 3rd house as well. You will be involved, you'll definitely be involved with working in an import, export or somehow related to having some experiences with foreign people. The other thing is Rahu Mahadasha also makes a person go against the norms of the society, and naturally a person is attracted towards foreign things. Like for example, if a person is Hindu, he will be very much attracted to some other religion, Muslim, Sikh, or some foreign religion. And a person also gets into contact with foreign people at some point of time. Now the next thing we need to see is that where Rahu behaves and gives the best of its results. So Rahu gives good results in the 3rd house, in the 6th house, 10th house and 11th house. And specifically Rahu is not very welcomed in the moksha houses. So it tends to give a lot of psychological issues or psychological baggages when it is present in moksha houses, which is 4th, 8th and 12th house. In 8th house, it can actually make you aware of a lot of occult signs, can make you a mad scientist. But though 8th house is the house of sudden ups and downs, and it is the house of diseases as well, prolonged diseases and problems, something death-like scenarios, so it can create a lot of ups and downs which are not welcoming. Now that depends upon how, in which sign Rahu is placed and how the dispositor is placed. Actually, how well the dispositor is placed. For example, if Rahu is in the sign of Taurus, means this Rahu is exalted, but you do have to look for where Venus is placed. If Venus is debilitated, that means that Rahu is exalted, but it doesn't have full support of Venus. But if Venus is exalted as well, that means that Rahu is actually getting a lot of support from Venus, because Venus is strong and it is protecting its house. So you see, that is how we predict the results of Rahu Mahadasha. So guys, this was my analysis on Rahu Mahadasha. I hope it was helpful. If you guys want to have personal readings from me, you can check out the link below, www.anmollastrology.com. And I would like to make you guys aware that my website has been changed from AS Astrology. Now it is Anmoll Astrology. And under the consultation section, you can book a personal reading for yourself. Thank you. Bye-bye.